Myth Wukong is a Souls-like action RPG based off Chinese mythology, or more specifically, Journey to the West. The game released in 2024, but I recently got a PS5 and decided to check it out. Oh my god, it is beautiful. From what I've seen online, it's the type of game where you love it or you hate it. I personally am going to rate it in 3 categories out of 10, to give you a total score of 30, while you enjoy footage of me sucking at video games. So, without further ado, gameplay. Myth Wukong is the first game that I've ever played that can be considered a Souls-like, so even if it was seen as one of the easiest Souls-likes, you can imagine how nervous I was blowing £60 on a game knowing damn well that I could just get stuck on the first boss and rage quit. But I've never been so happy to have been wrong. I'm currently half to 3/4 of the way through chapter 3, and most of the bosses I've defeated in 5 or at a stretch 10 attempts, with the exception of a few bosses like the Yellow Wind Sage or that goddamn bear. The only real criticism that I could find with the gameplay is that there's only one difficulty, but to be completely honest, I'm even a fan of that, since 1, it forces the player to adapt to all the different bosses in true Souls-like fashion, and 2, it saves any achievement hunters from having to play through this pretty lengthy game like 5 or 6 times. Aside from that, I've heard people complain about the combat just pressing square, and that's just so stupid to me, because first off, by that logic, shooting games are just aiming and shooting. And secondly, there are a bunch of other great games like God of War or Spider-Man 2 that have pretty similar combat. Overall, the gameplay is super satisfying and challenging at the same time, with some non-boss encounters in between boss fights to, keep the game interesting. I really don't want to give it a 10 out of 10, purely because if you are experienced with Souls-likes like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, then this game's just going to be easy. And I mean, I can go through it without getting too stuck, and I'm infamously bad at video games. That being said, gameplay is easily 9 out of 10. Story. You get out what you put in with the story. It's based off actual mythology, so I understand if the devs didn't have that much wiggle room with the lore, but you can tell that they've tried to help tell the story if you're interested. I love the addition of the journal. I've seen it in a few other games, or something similar to that in a few games like Doom Eternal, and it's perfect if you want to be fully immersed in the story, or even if you've just fought a boss that interests you and you just want to learn a bit more about them. Aside from that, the story can get a bit confusing at times, especially when you're going from fighting a rat to a literal ice dragon. But like most things, YouTube has the answer, so just watch a YouTube video or two if you care about the story, and aside from that, all you really need to know is that you're playing as a really greedy monkey. Overall, the devs have done everything they can to simplify the story, which is no small task, but even so, it doesn't stop the game from sometimes feeling like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now. Overall, it's a 7.5 out of 10. And the final category is graphics and bugs. And to be completely honest with you, I haven't seen that many bugs in the game. Sure, there's a few textures that didn't load as well as I would have liked, and there are a few invisible walls stopping me from going outside of bounds, but nothing's perfect, so I'm not going to mark the game down for that. That being said, I have experienced a few crashes from just seemingly nowhere, including once on stream, which was interesting. Overall, I can't give Black Myth Wukong below a 9 out of 10 on bugs, so that's exactly what I'll give it. Overall, by buying Black Myth Wukong, you're essentially saying, I'm up for the challenge, and if you regret buying the game or if you're stuck on a boss, then my only real advice would be stick with it and you will get it eventually. In the meantime, take small wins, like dodging an attack you can't normally, or getting a combo off that you really wanted to, and eventually you'll work out the boss's patterns, you'll work out when you can attack, and you will win. You will beat the boss, and eventually you'll beat the game. But overall, with a 9 out of 10 in gameplay, a 7.5 for story, and a 9 out of 10 on bugs, that gives Black Myth Wukong a total rating of 25.5 out of 30. And I would really recommend playing this game yourself if you want a challenge. But aside from that, that's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. I'm looking to make some more Marvel Rivals content soon, so look out for that if you're interested. Until then, have a mediocre day, and I will see you next video.